Let me tell you, if you'd told me a year ago I'd end up in court fighting a bunch of suburbanites in pastel polos over a chunk of dirt I've owned my whole life, I'd have laughed you off my porch. But here I am, and I gotta say, nothing prepares you for the day a judge looks down at the HOA president and asks, dead serious, are you telling this court the entire cul-de-sac is built on Mr. Jensen's land? Yeah, that happened. The room went dead quiet except for the hum of the projector, and there it was. The survey map up on the big screen, bright red lines like a chalk outline at a crime scene, and right smack in the middle half their prized neighborhood, 3 houses, a playground, and that precious little gazebo all inside the red. And that red-labeled property of N. Jensen. Me. That's my name. Over at the plaintiff's table, Marley Yates. That's the HOA president. The human spray tan went from bright orange to the color of skim milk in about 2 seconds flat. That can't be right, she stammered, voice going all thin and reedy. That's our line. That's what the developer showed us. The judge just held up her hand. Ma'am, sit down. You've had your turn. Then she looked at me. Mr. Jensen, I probably didn't look like anybody's idea of a courtroom defendant. Jeans, flannel, work boots still caked with dirt from the property, a shave I'd rushed through that morning. Hell, I looked more like I should be fixing a tractor than tearing an HOA to pieces in district court. I nodded at the judge, then the map. So I started trying not to smirk when the HOA said my barn was encroaching on their property. Turns out the only thing encroaching was their entire neighborhood. But hey, let me back up a sec. Before all this, before the maps, the court dates, and the lawyers giving each other death stares, I was just minding my own business. I own about 10 acres on the edge of Cedar Hollow, which used to be farm country until the beige tsunami of subdivisions and Starbucks rolled in. My place is one of the last original parcels, pasture, a tree line, and this old farmhouse my granddad built, creaky floors and all. Over the years, I fixed it up, kept it running. Then along comes Evergreen Meadows. Funny name that they've got neither evergreens nor meadows, just 100 nearly identical houses and a pond that's working way too hard to look like a lake. Their developer grabbed the land next door, slapped up a big stone entrance, and declared it a gated community like that made it Buckingham Palace. Didn't bother me. They had their world, I had mine. Now I'm a mechanic and welder by trade, fix farm stuff, build weird metal things for artists, that sort of deal. I needed a barn somewhere to store parts and keep my tools away from the raccoons that get bolder every year. So I pulled out my granddad's old survey from the fireproof box, filed all the right permits with the county, hired some local guys, and got to work. First day, the posts went up. I'm out on the porch with my coffee when I see this woman marching across my field like she's on a mission from God. Blonde bob sunglasses, a badge so big it could double as a windshield, and underneath Evergreen Meadows, HOA president, Marley Yates. I just sipped my coffee, bracing myself. Sure enough, she opens with, "You can't build that." Gestures at my half-finished barn like it's a biohazard. That structure is in violation of HOA guidelines. I blinked at her. Good thing I don't live in your HOA. She laughed, but it wasn't the good kind. These lots are part of Evergreen Meadows planned community. No, they're not, I said. This land's been in my family longer than your subdivision's been a twinkle in a developer's eye. She scowled. Well, our developer showed us the map. This field is future amenities. Yeah, I said future amenities on my current property. That went over well. She whipped out a folder like she was about to issue a subpoena, handed me a bunch of forms, started lecturing me about architectural review committees and neutral tones and how barns don't fit the community aesthetic. I just smiled. Lady, I'm building a barn, not a Bass Pro Shops. She didn't laugh. Next day, I get an email from some generic address. HOA board at evergreenmeadows.com. Mail to HOA board at evergreenmeadows.com. Dear resident, you are in violation. All that jazz. Cease construction, fines, legal action, yada yada. I replied, once I am not, and never have been a resident of Evergreen Meadows. Please stop trespassing. Did they stop? Oh no. If anything, it got weirder. Pretty soon I had HOA folks snapping photos from the road, random walkers pausing to glare over my fence, and an orange stop work notice zip-tied to my gate. I took it down, slid it into a folder I labeled evidence, and kept building. Marley called the county, said I was building without a permit. County guy came out, checked my paperwork, nodded, and left. She called animal control, claimed I was keeping livestock illegally. They showed up, met my 2 elderly goats and a rooster with anger issues, checked the zoning, and left. She even tried to get UPS to stop delivering to my place by saying my gravel drive was private HOA access. I just installed a couple of cameras, kept my head down. It might have stopped there, but Marley doesn't know how to quit. One day I get a fat certified letter. Notice of legal action. Evergreen Meadows HOA intends to file suit for encroachment of unauthorized barn onto HOA common property. The remedy sought part removal of the barn, restoration of the land, and get this transfer of the disputed portion to the HOA for use as community green space. Translation, they wanted to sue me and take my land. I laughed. Then I called a lawyer. My attorney, Gina Park, calm as a glacier, looked over the whole stack. Well, she said, this is either a massive misunderstanding or the dumbest power grab I've seen in a long time. I brought every scrap of paper, Granddad's surveys, tax records, the original deed, my shiny county permit. Gina compared the HOA's map to the county records, frowning. These don't match, she finally said. The developer's plat map shows Evergreen Meadows running a lot farther than it really does. So she hired a surveyor pro guy, high-vis vest, GPS, the works. 2 weeks later, he's walking my field planting neon flags, frowning harder every time he looks at his tablet. I ask, something wrong? He points to the fence line. According to the records, your land doesn't stop at that fence. My stomach did a backflip. How far does it go? He checks his map, points over to Evergreen Meadows. See that cul-de-sac? Half of that, including some of the backyards, that's yours. Come again, I nearly spit out my coffee. Those houses, he says, are partly built on your land. Looks like the developer drew the map wrong and nobody noticed. My barn wasn't encroaching on their property. The HOA was built on mine. Court day rolls around. Marley shows up looking like she's ready to run for office. Pearls binders, the whole 9 yards. Her lawyer spins a tale about rogue barns threatening property values. Marley dabs her eyes for effect. Their main evidence, a developer-drawn map with borders fuzzier than a dollar store sweater. Then it's Gina's turn. She gets up, clicks the projector, and bam, there's the official county-certified survey, old parcel lines glowing on the screen. Overlaid right on top, Evergreen Meadows looking like Pac-Man taking a bite out of my field. Gina points out the hatched area, 3 houses and a playground clear as day, all encroaching on my deeded land. The judge leans forward, says, "Explain this, Ms. Park." Gina's cool as ice. "Your Honor, the original farm parcel predates the subdivision. The developer's plat incorrectly extended new lots over my client's property. County never updated ownership because it still legally belongs to Mr. Jensen." Judge asks, "So whose land are those houses on?" Gina nods at me. His. You could feel the whole courtroom suck in a breath. The HOA lawyer starts sputtering about errors, blaming the developer. Gina just cuts in. "The developer isn't the county. They had no right to sell that land." The judge looks at Marley. "Did you ever verify your boundaries with an independent survey?" Marley opens her mouth, closes it. "We trusted the developer," she squeaks. Judge just shakes her head, aches her. When the ruling came down 2 weeks later, it was savage. The court finds the Evergreen Meadows HOA has no jurisdiction over Mr. Jensen's property. The barn is entirely within his parcel, approved by the county. Portions of HOA common area and at least 3 homes encroach onto Mr. Jensen's land. The HOA pursued baseless legal action and repeatedly harassed Mr. Jensen. Marley looked like someone had unplugged her, but that wasn't all. HOA's lawsuit is dismissed with prejudice. The HOA will pay Mr. Jensen's legal fees and survey costs. That alone would have hurt. Then the judge added, "As for the encroachment, the parties are advised to arrange a purchase at fair market value or else face possible removal of structures currently encroaching." You could have heard a pin drop. Someone in the back actually whispered, "Our houses." And then, like a cherry on top, given the HOA's conduct trespassing, bogus stop work orders, attempted coercion, the court issues a cease and desist. No more contact with Mr. Jensen except through counsel. Afterward, the HOA board huddled outside, pale as ghosts, arguing about damage control. Homeowners stared at me like I was the bogeyman. Gina just patted my arm. "Now comes the fun part." The fun part, I asked. "You get to decide what you want for your land, and I suggest you don't let them off cheap." Word got out fast. Local news loved it. HOA sues over barn discovers neighborhood built on wrong lot. Real estate agents started sweating. Home buyers started Googling. Suddenly, Evergreen Meadows wasn't a premier gated community, it was the neighborhood with the world's dumbest land grab. Power shifted fast. Negotiations took months. The HOA's first offer insulting. A check so low even their treasurer looked embarrassed. I turned them down and countered with a number that made them swallow their tongues. Eventually, the three homeowners whose houses sat on my land got together furious, but not at me. At the HOA, at the developer, at whoever landed them in this mess. In the end, they each bought a perpetual easement for their slice of backyard at a fair price. The HOA paid me for the playground strip and a yearly maintenance fee. The developer dragged back from wherever he was hiding, coughed up a fat check to cover the settlement. And buried in the paperwork at my insistence was this little clause. Evergreen Meadows HOA acknowledges it has no authority, jurisdiction, or enforcement rights on the property of Mr. Noah Jensen, nor shall it attempt to annex or claim said property in the future. Marley signed it last. By then, she wasn't president anymore. Homeowners called a meeting, voted her out, and banned her from holding any board position again. Minutes leaked online, motion to remove Marley Yates as president, 39-1 in favor. Marley stood there clutching her binder like a life raft. But I was protecting the community, she whimpered. No one said a word. One by one, her neighbors turned away. She walked out alone, that big badge still pinned to her blazer, looking about as official as a coupon for free fries. So now when I sit on my porch with my coffee and look out at my barn, I can't help but laugh. Funny how the folks who scream the loudest about property rights don't know where their own backyard ends. Or maybe they just think the rules don't apply to them. Here's my question for you. When someone tries to steal what's yours and you stand your ground, does that make you the bad guy? Or is it just finally giving them a taste of their own medicine? I'd love to hear what you think. Drop a comment. Tell me what you'd do if the HOA tried to take your land, or if you've had your own run-in with neighborhood power trips. Let's talk about what justice really looks like, because honestly, I think the story's just getting started.